Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite pedals that we've ever reviewed. I woke up this morning and had a joke about the pedal, and it had something to do with the Matrix, I think. But I also dreamt last night that I adopted 2 cats, and the cats turned into European babies, and I was like, uh-oh, I hope these European babies like amp simulators. And I was like, damn, I wish I did drugs, because then I could say I quit drugs and then like have a normal brain. Or does everyone dream about European cat babies?
Excellent.
I really liked that pedal. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that thing is awesome. I would put that at the end of a pedal board and just get a DI box and just run that directly into the house.
Run it directly in my butt.
Right into my heart.
Oh.
I mean, it's really rare that Strymon stuff makes anything. I'm like, that thing is awesome.
Yeah, that I actually really like it because, I don't know, I don't have a guitar amp or anything like that. I used to. I don't really have one right now. I barely even have a guitar. So having something like this with at least some flexibility that has like a very natural sound, like you have like the Helix, you have other things, and I feel like those can be kind of a rabbit hole. This is like one thing. And
you
sometimes
can load different impulse responses into it.
Yeah, so that's one thing the manual said was you can load in different impulse responses, which means like different rooms, as it were. So this one just sounded like like a studio, like an open studio. So when you turned up the room button or the room knob,
I like room. I prefer room to anything. The character of a room is so much different than like a hall or a plate or any of that other stuff. Spring,
especially for a guitar. But even as you got rid of the room, it just felt like a microphone still. Like it still had like a very real sound. It was just like putting the mic right up on the amp versus sending it back or whatever.
It felt really good to play through.
Yeah,
that's one thing I really like because it's a DI box, right? But like. The Helix is one of the first things I've had that if I like the way it plays. It feels good to play through the Pod HD 500X and some of the Boss stuff. I just never really cared for the way it played. I really like the way that thing felt. Like what's cool is you can build a pedal board of analog pedals that you really like, and then just put that at the end and put a little DI box and just directly in. And you could do it at home.
A little surprised it didn't have an XLR out.
I am surprised it does not have an XLR out, that you can't use it as a DI box.
A little miffed by that, I would say. So if Strymon had I don't know if you would need a stereo output, but like at least an XLR output, because I just feel like given the form factor of it being like an amp emulator. That seems like the thing you should be doing.
It seems like an oversight, and maybe they thought someone would use a DI box. So you could get like a little stereo channel XLR box and put it at the end of your chain, but
just
I
have
agree.
it in there.
I would prefer it to
I would
have
assume this is like a premier not boutique, but like a premier pedal, like at a premier price. I don't know what the price is
Doesn't
on it.
have XLR on the sides or anything. It's just weird. There's a headphone on it. I didn't see that before.
Oh,
That's
yeah, you didn't see that?
cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, like the little Vox, Vox used to make those little like dongles or whatever. You'd plug in your guitar and have a headphone so you could like actually play through an amp. Like, yeah, that makes sense. So, why no XLR out? Strymon? I want to know.
That's my only complaint about this
Only
pedal.
complaint. Other than
I
that,
wish it's great.
sounds great. Oh, one thing I was going to say is the difference between like all the different, I mean, it had like chime, round. I would assume those are emulating.
Yeah, chime is probably like an AC, like a Vox.
AC15 or something like that.
What's else? There's a.
They don't really like say like what they're going for, but what I was gonna say.
Probably Fender. Punch is probably like a Marshall. Those are the big three. Usually, it's like Vox, Fender, and Marshall are the most emulated amps, I think.
Honestly, like between those three, and to have all three in one box is really nice, and they're not subtle, which is nice. Sometimes like things are really subtle, and that's like cool, and you can like more fine tune. This is like swapping out different amps and different cabs. It's very dramatic when you switch.
Very
between
dramatic.
them, and I really appreciate that. One other thing I was gonna say is my favorite food is pizza.